Hello, this is the Super Meat Boy 3D All Bandages submission speedrun for sgdq 2026. We're going to be going over the most recent run as well as the most recent, we should make this full screen, most recent world record of the game. Let's drop this. Perfect. All right, so right off the bat, something to note about this category is we do use Super Meat Boy 64, which comes from the Super Meat Boy 64 level, using a down patch version of the game so that we can clip into the hitbox of Bandage Girl right off the bat and get him really quickly. Advantages to Super Meat Boy 64 are that he is exactly the same as regular Meat Boy, which means that you can basically use him as you would use regular Meat Boy strats if he wants to, with the addition of being able to triple jump, increasing his height on his second and third jumps, culminating in him being able to do a front flip at max height, which allows us to do things like this. Cover gaps very quickly and use routing that we otherwise wouldn't be able to. So a little breakdown about the category. All bandages, as you will notice, is we have to collect every single bandage in the game. There are 75 levels total with a bandage in them, all of the light levels in the game. So it is a bit longer category than any percent, which only has to do 10 levels of your choice throughout any given world in order to unlock the boss, whereas we have to do all 15 in every single world and collect each bandage on the speedrun. So there's some really fun strategies to use. There's a lot of character switching, especially in World 3, because there's a lot of options for characters to use at that point. But early on, we're going to be using just Meat Boy 64 because he is the highest versatility and fastest character that we have in the early game. Later on, we're going to have access to a couple of fun characters, more notably Skeleton Boy and Nate, although there is one specific level that I really like using Ed on, just because he can do a route that no one else really can. It's really cool. So in general, this is going to be pretty fleshed out in terms of the routing. It's fairly clean. Couple of, I'd say, bigger mistakes. A few deaths that add up, but overall, I'd say it's a good representation of what the category can do. Ideally, this time gets down to around, probably, if done really, really well, 27 minutes or faster, which would be amazing to see. Obviously, the game only came out a month ago, so we're doing what we can. That's a cool little momentum glitch you can do, or not exactly glitch, but momentum carry. Something about this game is the heavy use of bunny hopping, where if you are jumping as soon as you land, you will carry pretty much all of your momentum from any of your previous movements. The exception being if you choose to dash at any point, that pretty much resets your speed to the dash's base speed. Unlike, well, there are one or two exceptions, but that is the exception, not the rule. So we are dashing when we can, we're bunny hopping when we can, and we are using our triple jump or double jump height to clear gaps that we otherwise wouldn't be able to go as fast as possible, touching the ground as little as possible as well. That was a super jump. There are a few tricks in this game, but in general, they're more, I would say, flashy than save time. A super jump is going to be where you are both dashing and able to jump in mid-air where you shouldn't be able to. And it's really only used a couple times because you're able to clear gaps like that without having to intentionally jump over the saw and then wait to hit the wall with a dash because you wouldn't make the distance otherwise. So as I'm saying all this, we are about to close out World 1. It is first 15 levels. You can see we're on level 14 right there. And something that I didn't mention earlier is the community actually found something Relatively, I would say early into the game's history. It's right here, where you can actually quit out of the game during certain things and still control your character. So the rule is, so long as you actually trigger the end goal, which in most levels is Bandage Girl, before the quit out fully fades to black, you can actually go to the world map from the menu and continue controlling your character and save yourself the time of watching the cutscene at the end of every level, which saves, depending on how many times you do it per run, over a minute. More time in any percent, I will say, because they get to skip around levels and choose their levels more freely. Whereas typically in all bandages, you're going to be playing the levels front to back. You can see there that was the first boss of World 1, and we unlocked Skeleton Boy at 15 bandages. Skeleton Boy is really, really fun to use in this game. He does have a lower jump, so there are some jumps you just straight up can't make with him, but he does make up for it with being much faster in terms of just his basic running speed, as well as being almost frictionless on walls, allowing him to slide around and maneuver a lot quickly without sticking to walls as much. Um, he also increases his height from wall jumps quite a bit over his basic jump. So, excuse me. So you'll see that if I'm jumping on the ground, it's going to be about half the height of his actual like wall jump. So when we can wall jump, we will. But what's nice about him is his run speed is almost probably the same as his dash speed. I don't know if anybody's really run the numbers on it, but essentially you don't need to bunny hop with him. So his maneuverability is a lot more free. He is very slippery, though. There are some levels where you just straight up are trying to land on a very small platform, and he will just go all over the place if you're continuing to hold the run button, which you do pretty much throughout the run, is hold down the run button. One thing to note is there is an all auto run feature, but it is nice for maneuverability to be able to walk sometimes. And it wasn't until the later version of the game, 1.5, I believe, that they added the feature to be able to walk while always run is on. So that is not accessible in this patch of the game. There are going to be some more fun strats. Typically, the way that I'll run is I will do some fun and faster strats at the beginning of levels, and if they fail once or twice, I'll go for a safer strat. Mainly because they're really, really fun, and some of them are much faster to show off as opposed to just going safe on every level. Although you could get a much faster time, I would say, if you did the safe strats and actually prevented yourself from dying on each of them. However, as we get better and better at the game, we're going to be going for the faster strats and not dying anyway, so it's always nice to practice those. That was a fun little momentum carry at the end there with a fan. And in general, I'd say that World 2 is one of the most fun worlds. 1B is you get to use Skeleton Boy for every level because he is just faster in general than Meat Boy 64 is, and we don't have access to Nate yet. He comes at 45 bandages in. So these levels are very, very fun to run around with. You can see here just the distance you get with these wall jumps, being able to do skips like that you can't actually do with Meat Boy or Meat Boy 64. You can do alternate routing, but he's not able to make wall jumps like that. Nowhere close. There are some fun levels in this with some faster cycles. One of them that you saw earlier was the one in the with the winds tunnel. This is one that I found recently that's really nice, being able to not wait for an extra cycle on those thorn traps. And now we get to play with probably I would say these next three levels really show the power of momentum carrying. As soon as you hit the wall there, you slow down. But so long as you don't hit a wall or dash or anything, you can continue to keep this speed, especially on the vertical ones, for a very long time, which is just so much fun to watch. So 15 levels that we need to do per world is going to be 30 at the end of this. So by the end of the third world, we're going to have access to Nate. You get him at, I believe it's 40 bandages. However, I don't use Nate until world 4 because he actually is a bit slower in the more closed off levels that is world 3. This is going to be the last level. We do a little whip around here. There is a death barrier there, so you have to be careful not to whip too far around, just to avoid going all the way over the top. And we'll do the early quit out here. Now, something you can do is early quit out on bosses as well. However, it was found that early quit out on bosses is very, very tight because for some reason you actually fade out to map a lot quicker on boss maps than regular world maps, so or regular world levels. So it doesn't give you like the 1.5 second fade out roughly that you would normally get. It's actually closer to probably like a quarter or a half second. It's very, very narrow. So I think I actually do go for it on this run and end up missing it. But the bosses in this game are pretty straightforward, well designed. There's not much time to save on them because they are locked into these specific cycles. So especially bosses 2, Mr. Filthy here, as well as for Larry. There's no way to save time on them because the entire thing is basically an auto scroller. Whereas 1, 2, or 1, 3, and 5, we've actually found ways to get around all of those. This is a super fun level for momentum. You can actually carry this, as you can see, with bunny hops all the way to the end, and it chains really, really well. This level as well. The reason we switched back to Meat Boy 64 specifically for these first two levels. So the way that the momentum works in the game is it's I can't say if it's I believe it's multiplicative, not additive, but essentially you gain the movement speed of a moving platform that you jump off of, and you keep that speed. When you bunny hop off of, say, the same moving platform that's going in the same direction, it multiplies that speed even further, allowing you to get just a huge burst of speed that in most cases you can carry out through entire levels. And there's some really, really cool strategies with those as well. We switch back to Skeleton Boy for these, I believe it's 3 levels, because specifically this level, the level before, he saves a second, maybe a second and a half. It's not too much. But he actually can save up to 3 or 4 seconds on this next level if you do it correctly. Because, like I mentioned before, with him being able to get a bunch of momentum off of walls, pretty specific to him in terms of like how much momentum that he can achieve because he doesn't have friction on walls. He could do things like this, which just saves so much time. I believe the average finish here for Meat Boy 64 is around 19 and a half seconds. And you can see even with like over a second of mistakes there, that's still a 17, which is super cool. This is also the only world where we will use the character Ed, and we will use him specifically for one bandage. There's one level that's a bit longer, and no other character this point has his floatiness, his height, his verticality to be able to traverse the level in the same way as him. So you'll actually see it 2 levels from now. It's super fun too. Just the amount of distance you can get with this character is insane. Something else to note about each of these levels is there are 2 for a lot of levels, you will need two different strategies. One of them would be the strategy for the first time you load into the level. One of them will be the strategy for every time you retry. Because the first cycle of the first time you load into a level is actually faster. The cycle is further ahead than every time you retry after that. So this is the ed level. This is really fun. You're able to do the community calls it double jumping, but it's basically a glitch dash jump into these walls that you shouldn't be able to wall jump off of or interact with. And he can use this really cool pathing to go around basically the entire level, or straight through the entire level. Typically, you would have to go to the background, use the walls in the back, come to the foreground, use skip all of the lava, and so on and so forth. But he can just run across all of it, which is amazing. And finally, we're going to finish off with Skeleton Boy for the last 6 levels of this world. Excluding the boss, there is a skip we found recently with Nate, who I mentioned. We get 40 bandages. There's a skip on the boss that you can do with him that's very, very. It's difficult, but it's very fun. If you can get it, it saves probably like 3 seconds. So lots of wall jumping here, which is why we're sticking to Skeleton Boy. And he's able to clear these levels much faster than Meat Boy. Probably saves on average every wall he jumps off of. If it's every wall jump, then I would say 0.2 of a second to 1/10 of a second. He saves a lot of time on walls. It's actually quite crazy. The main reason being not only because he slides on walls faster, but he also obtains his maximum speed basically as he's jumping off of the wall. Whereas if you're playing as Meat Boy or Meat Boy 64, you would otherwise need to dash to obtain max speed, unless you're along a floor that you're able to chain that momentum off of with a bunny hop. You otherwise can't reasonably do that every single time you're jumping off the wall. So it's very fun to be able to just always be at max speed with Skeleton Boy. The other thing to note is there is something called Coyote Time. For the most part, especially with platformers, there are some games that don't have it. This game definitely does have it. Like I mentioned before, if Skeleton Boy is jumping on the floor, he's actually jumping a lot, probably half as high as if he's wall jumping. Oh, this is a fun little glitch jump here to get around that. Um, but he is jumping inherently shorter if he is raw jumping versus jumping off of a wall. So one disadvantage to Skeleton Boy is not being able to use his coyote time as well, because as soon as he leaves the wall, he's no longer considered doing a wall jump. It'll be a basic jump. So he actually isn't able to use coyote time as well as most of the other characters. You'll see here, if you jump off the top of this barrier, you can actually do this section early, and that saves alone like probably 2-3 seconds on this level. It's crazy. And this is why we skip to Nate when we get to here. And we will be using Nate for the rest of the run. The levels coming up are a lot more open, so there's a lot more room for his double jump to save just so much time over the other characters, which is really, really fun. There are some really cool skips with him. Moving on to World 4, so we are 3/5 done. However, in terms of like runtime, this is probably around the halfway mark to be, I would say, safe, because the back 2 worlds are not only a pretty large increase in difficulty over the first 3 worlds in terms of execution, but also much longer. There are some auto scroller sections that take close to 25 seconds, whereas the longest level we did previously was probably like 17, 18 on the high end, or with mistakes. So these do get kind of crazy. One fun thing about the glitchy jump or the dash jump is you're able to use it off of very specific structures in this game, structures that pretty much aren't supposed to be interactable. But you can see we actually did it there, and essentially the rule for being able to, like, if you know that you can use it, is there an invisible wall? Basically something stopping you from getting closer to the foreground, like they're trying to show you the level, but they don't want you to come out of the map. Anytime you see one of those, like in this level especially, you're able to use glitchy wall jumps like that to be able to make some jumps that you shouldn't be able to make otherwise, which is really, really cool. The routing for this game was so much fun. There's just so much freedom with what you're able to do with character selection and what you're able to do with the movement or the routes. I've seen plenty of uh, runs of this game where somebody else is doing a route that's different than me, and the difference between the routes is only like a half a second, but they're completely different routing. So you're able to watch two different people play this game and wonder if they're even playing the same game at certain points, which is insane to say, especially in a competitive speedrun setting. I would say pretty early on, this game got a lot of, I would say, positive speedrun attention. People got competitive super fast, obviously in super short levels where every single level is running you like around like a 15-second average. People are really keen on doing individual level grinds and getting their times down, and people are setting world records every day. And even the current speedrun route is being updated every single day with little things that will save you half a second, um, or just harder strats in general that are much more fun to pull off, that can save you much more time. One thing I will say is just the other day there was a uh, one specific level in World 5 that we'll get to later, um, that didn't have any sort of like major skips in it. It's basically an auto scroller. They take away your ability to progress through the level any faster by making these train cycles that you have to hit and wait for. And if you aren't on that train cycle, then and you go too far ahead, there's actually just no trains there, so you're unable to like do the level any faster. With momentum chaining, I actually found a route where you can do the level in about half the time, but you have to. It's very, very precise. It's probably not going to be viable for anything but ILs, but it is. It was very, very fun to actually accomplish. Took 900 attempts for me to get a run I was happy with, and then somebody else did 500 attempts and beat my time by like 3/10 of a second. So whenever somebody finds a strategy and other people want to hop on, there will be a record that's grinded down over the next couple days, and that's a huge part of the interaction with this community is being able to share ideas and being able to honestly just like challenge each other and push each other so that we can get some of the craziest times that you'll see in I would say probably any early on speedrun that I've played through. It's been such a blast being with this community and being able to push each other and find routes and just all kinds of things. Um, it's definitely been one of the most positive experience I've had with speedrunning. Something fun about Nate is I mentioned earlier you can do a super jump. Super jumps are going to be when you jump, you immediately dash, and then you immediately jump out of that again. And it basically conserves your momentum and also a double jump. Um, I think it's the next level, it could be the level after this. Something else fun though about these games is you can use the terrain like that to skip a bunch of things, and here especially, This is normally essentially an auto scroller where you have to go through all these tubes, but the game is 3D, it's open, and it was designed to be broken in ways that are just so crazy. They left a lot of terrain interactable where they could have just made you pass through it or made them death planes, and it's so much fun to break this game. It's astonishing watching what people can find. Even there, I'm jumping off of the back of the wall. Uh, it doesn't look like there's anything there, but for some reason, there is just an entire platform you can stand on that sticks out just on the other side of the wall. It's not visible, and you can just stand on it and jump on it and cut out going around the front of the level. It makes it easier to grab the bandage from that side because the angle you approach it at. And this is a really fun level. You're supposed to go straight forward, up, and then all the way to the right across the top. But they left these pillars just sitting here. And with double jumps, you can kind of just get around the entire level, or the first half of the level's design. Um, so much fun. And then we have Larry is going to be the fourth boss and also the last boss that we're unable to do any faster or skip. This is another auto scroller. Um, Something fun about Nate. Nate is the first character you get access to that receives a double jump. Something that makes him different than the other characters, and you'll probably notice it here. He is very slow, like very slow. His run speed is actually awful. The only thing that makes up for it is being able to do, as you see here, a little dash jump, which chains the momentum of his dash into forward momentum while he's jumping and then bunny hopping afterwards, which allows him to carry his dash momentum basically through entire levels. It's the only redeeming quality in the fact that he has probably one of the worst run speeds, probably bottom three run speeds in the entire game. Um, his dash also resets his fall speed, which means that you can cross giant gaps like that very easily. So he has a lot of options. You can see here, there's World 5 is going to be much more open. There's not as many walls, invisible walls. You're not closed in buildings as much. So this is when you can really do some crazy things with routing and just figuring out like crazy skips and stuff like that. I probably have seen this one level be done four different ways, all to do with the same character, and half of them are just crazy. Like ignoring these bubbles, jumping on the pillars in the foreground, just insane stuff. Level 3 is a level where you can do a much faster strat. I say much faster, like it saves you a second and a half. But of course, this is also just invalidating the entire level. The one thing I will say about this game that is more of a personal issue than an issue with that anyone else had with the game. For some reason, and I don't know if it's just my controller or if it's other people's, but I have gotten it. I'm unable to input directional inputs, or at least buffer directional inputs at the start of a level. So if you look at the bottom right, the controller, I'm mashing the control stick between every single level because it won't capture my directional input when I am before I've loaded into a level. Um, and I don't think anyone else said the issue. I know a lot of people run this on Xbox controller. Somebody with a DualSense told me they didn't have any issues with this. A lot of people run on keyboard. So apparently everyone else can buffer it. It is just a me thing, unfortunately. So I've not been kind to my controller. I actually already went through one while running this game. But it's been one great time. You can see here, like I mentioned earlier, you can chain the momentum off of trains and such. This level and the next level get really, really fun, especially if you're running just any percent, you don't have to get the bandages. These levels are crazy short, and you can see we're getting times that are close to 5, 10, 15 seconds above the A plus, which is going to be your like standard. This is the time to beat to get achievements kind of thing. Um, and this level specifically, this is the one where we didn't have any sort of skips or anything, no early cycles. And just the other day, we got it down to less than 11 seconds, which is crazy. Over the matter of, it was probably like I invested an hour and a half, 2 hours. Somebody else probably invested an hour, and we completely broke it open. And then you have skips like this specifically with Nate because you can only use the double jump on a couple of characters, Nate being one of them. You can see you can skip from that billboard to the top one, and then you could do the same thing here as opposed to going to the right and then having to do the entire level. There's been a few runners who have done this category specifically. Like I mentioned before, one of the runners was King Joe, who hopefully we can do a race with him. That would be awesome. He ran all bandages for the world record of 35 and change. Um, and that was basically before anyone was really doing any hard individual routing and more just playing through the game as fast as they could with no real plans other than that everyone as soon as they got Nate, they played Nate. That was that was essentially the game plan before I started doing the individual level routes for this game. And testament to them, I tried as hard as I could to find any levels where I could get significant time saved with other characters. In Worlds 4 and 5, basically as soon as you unlock Nate, I could not find them. This character is so fast, has so much versatility, has so much freedom with routing. It is absolutely insane. And as much as I was reluctant to use him because everybody else was playing with him, and I just wasn't a fan of his movement. At first, he really grew on me, and we got some really really fun strats like this one even. This is much easier with a double jump. Typically, you're supposed to typically you're supposed to go up to your left around, but you can actually skip that entire thing with momentum. Easier with a double jump, but you can do it off of bunny hopping. So just one of the benefits of Nate, as well as being able to grab that bandage, where I don't believe the other characters have the height. Couple more fun things like this bandage here. Typically, you have to go up and then drop down, but since he has a double jump, he's able to jump around the backside. Um, so yeah, just a lot of fun. And like I mentioned before, King Joe is running this category. I believe Xanaru is running this category. Not many people have gotten their hands on it, but I'm hoping that as sgdq submissions and stuff die down and the game develops more people will be interested in running not only all bandages but also 100%, which it 100% has so much potential and so many routing options, and I would love to showcase it. But I have spent all my time trying to get this one category flushed out so that it would be really tight and presentable, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. Um, this is level 15, so this is the last level before the final boss, and the final boss has a skip. It is typically a three-phase fight. The first phase is on the roof of the building. He breaks the roof, you drop down to a second floor, and then breaks that, drop down to a third floor. However, I don't know how this was discovered, but the way you trigger the end of the boss fight is by interacting with Dr. Fetus, the boss, way out on the edge of a ship that you have to climb up at the end of phase 4. Instead, we just do this. This is the boss fight. So by standing on top of this building as he crashes through the floor, you don't get dropped down, and from here you can actually fall on top of the boss trigger that ends the level. The building at the end of phase three, which this is going to be phase three, the building ends up rising up, and then the ship appears below you, Dr. Fetus at the end of it. And as you saw earlier, so Dr. Fetus can be in multiple places at once, depending on where you are in the level. If you noticed in the World 3 boss, you actually saw Forge Master, the World 3 boss, running at you from below and also spawned up top and chasing you. So the bosses aren't really a single entity, but more of just a bunch of triggers and checkpoints that you have to hit. And this is going to be the escape sequence. So there is a little bit you can do here with lag reduction. More helps with RTA than anything else. But as you can see here, if we skip right there, a few platforms, the more platforms you skip, the less fireballs you spawn. Less fireballs you spawn, less your screen shakes, and you can get to the end a little bit quicker. But that's mostly for RTA. We do time this game in IGT. So there is a built-in speedrun timer. As you can see, 32:39 is the official time. Runtime on this was 36. So we lost about 3 minutes, all things considered. But yeah, that's all bandages. Very, very fun run. Hopefully we're able to showcase it at SGDQ 2026. And yeah, thank you for watching.